learning was not merely education, if formally for certificates, but to learn about one's life, also to how do you speak truth to power. We started work on this in 2022. This was a time when we were mobilizing primarily for democracy in Karnataka, but it was also a time when many of us were very anxious, we were confused, we were even not just confused, we were in a sort of deep anxiety as to what should we do. We were civil society members. We were part of what we saw as the big polycrisis across the world, manifesting in India in terms of deep economic inequalities, a deceleration in our democratic systems, democracy, but also with the onset of climate change. So what should we do? What should be our role? And these were issues that we talked about not only in developing programs for Punarcheth, but also to engage with other networks, with other groups. So it was at that time that I approached Dileep and Neelima. We have known them for many years, since 2013. They've been coming to our programs, taking sessions. Very important, as Badri said, he had also attended the community learning movement. We had invited them to have community learning movement with the Soligas, the tribals in the Adivasis in Chamarajanagar. We had learned a lot that learning was not merely education, if formally for certificates, but to learn about one's life, also to how do you speak truth to power, and how do you take on the challenges that we face about injustice, or the assertions for rights, etc. So it was in that context I literally invited myself to Belgaum. I spent 2 days there. As Badri said, I recorded all this with a focus on what were their experiences for more than 50 plus years in mobilizing people, mobilizing for what is called the collective good. This was very important because we saw that many of us, our groups were fragmented, there were factions, we were finding it difficult to come on a common platform. So my query to them was, reflecting on your experiences, what should be our strategies, what should be our orientation? And therefore, it was sort of a reflexive exercise. They both talked about not only their parents' time, but their times, what were the struggles. So as Badri elucidated, the struggles were not only for land rights, against environmental degradation, especially the Harrier polyfiber thing, but unionizing in the factories. Later, very important, both Neelima and Dileep were very active in the anti-female infanticide movement that was taking place. And much later, the setting up of Gramina Kuli Karmikara Sangha, which is now rural India's largest network of unionized workers, especially under MNREGA, extremely important work. So how did they go about this? These were very important to us to understand that what has emerged in the book, and for many of you who would read it, you would see that it draws on not only the Gandhian principles of non-violence, that no matter how much one is pressed, that one should not resort to violence, but combining later with very critical Marxism, as they were part of the study circles, what are class issues, what are issues about growing capital, what is happening with India as neoliberalism sets in, etc. But combining all that later with Ambedkar ideas about recognizing the importance of caste, and of course very much the issues of gender. In all of this, what has been very personally important for us, and why we wanted to put it into a book, was not only to share it among ourselves, civil society or people like us who want to be active in the public life or to understand better what is happening, but more specifically, as Badri said, for the youth, because as you see, youth are missing everywhere where their collective mobilization is taking place. Discussions are being held, not only for human rights, but about democracy, any other issues about freedom of expression, etc., youth are missing. So we wanted to bring out something for youth, to show them as models of the importance of personal integrity, but also of a commitment to a collective good. This is what we try to do. What I'd like to also say is that their work, not only for the public good, Neelima has a librarian employed, but very important, the kind of impact she's had on the feminist movements across Karnataka for a lot of awareness, but also the anti-female infanticide movement, but also awareness of the issues of I think recognizing that social justice is something that should be engaged with on an everyday level. It's not just a legal issue. It's in this context that their lives, their contributions, their work has been exemplary for us. We see it as very important for the future to understand that to do collective work, we must recognize the importance of trust among people, trust that something positive will happen in the future. The importance of persistence. There's so many examples where they could have given up, but they have not, and they've persisted. For example, even as 2 weeks ago, Dileep and Neelima were attending meetings about the protesting against the diversion of a very important river from Belgaum into other areas, etc. So persisting. And finally, the very, very importance of the, not only just holding on, persisting, trusting, but also to work with hope. And I think that has been also very important for me, to have this optimism. So often many of us have fallen into, just feeling tired, having the sense of hopelessness, the situation is beyond repair, etc. But they always have had a sense of hope. So with this, this is a small way of thanking both of them for being this beacon of hope for us. And I want to also thank them for putting up with this. It took 2.5 years, lot of delays. 2023 went with lot of back and forth, getting the interviews transcribed, then editing it, etc. So I want to thank both of them for this patience, for going back into their own archives, giving us wonderful photographs, not only of their parents, but of the movements of themselves also. I want to thank Ganesh, who very immediately when I said we have this book on the Kamaths, would you please help us publish it? He said, of course, this is something very important. So, Tumba Dhanyavadagalu Ganesh Avrige. Badri took a lot of time off from his regular work to transcribe it, extremely tedious work to transcribe it. Later, Suresh looked at the first transcript, and I'm very grateful to him for going through it and again endorsing the idea that this would be a valuable book to have. We must do it. Lata Mala, who's here with us, editing it very, very finely, going through various versions. I also want to thank her. Finally, Sumukha, who's here, who actually designed the book. We went through many iterations. First, we wanted to have it in a graphic form with the photos. Then we changed our mind. We very patiently went through many, many versions. So thank you. Thank you all of you for being here. And we really look forward to having an open discussion at the end of this. Thank you.